911, what are you reporting?
I got a strange going on out here. Something just killed my dog.
Something killed your dog?
My dog went flying through the air over the tree. I don't know how it did it.
From baffling missing 411 cases that leave us questioning reality to the elusive and legendary creatures like Bigfoot, we are here to discuss it all.
By God, if a hand come from the other side of that fence, grab this thing by the head and neck, just one-timed it.
1 o'clock in the morning, I'm awakened by lights. Bright lights. I'm talking about, Josh, the lights were so bright, it looked like daytime, so I thought it was the morning.
There's just something going around, attacking our sheep. And my grandma used to talk about this guy, Ketso, that means, Bigfoot in our language, so.
If you have ever found yourself captivated by the unexplained or intrigued by the mysterious, you are in the right place. Welcome to Mysteries Unknown. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mysteries Unknown. We're excited about tonight's podcast. I've got my co-host Daniel with me. What's going on, buddy?
What's good, brother?
Man, I got my coffee, guys. I got coffee and root beer, so we should be good for a minute. What you got tonight? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking water.
Water's a good thing to drink, man. You can never go wrong with water. So tonight, guys, we're going to be talking about, if I don't butcher the name, and I'm sure that we're going to at some point in time, but the Siege of Honobia. Everybody's heard of that. If you have not heard of that, you're in for a wild, wild ride. The story is really crazy, not too far from the area that I'm at, but Daniel, as usual, has done his research, and we're going to be digging into this and kind of try to get down to the bottom of it and the truth of it, and what exactly happened. We're going to do that. We're going to talk about some different encounters and just have fun and chat with you guys up in the chat. If this is your first time here, please leave us a comment and let us know. You excited, man?
Dude, I'm really excited. I've listened. Kevin goes, "Let's get weird." That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I've actually heard about this story a few times, and it's literally one of the scariest modern stories I've ever heard. So
yeah, it's out there, man. It is definitely got a lot of different details that scare me, man. Anytime you've got a Bigfoot creature come, trying to get in your house and messing with your family, that's pretty scary. So this story's got everything from these guys shooting at a Bigfoot, actually shooting one, just a lot of different stuff. But there's a lot of misinformation out there that's been spread around, and Daniel's kind of got to the bottom of that. So we're going to just uncover all of that and just have some fun, and appreciate all the members that are here tonight. Thanks for being here. I appreciate everybody being here. So Christopher Levins is here. Hey, that's a great comment, man. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it. It says the best channel on YouTube. Wow, that's really awesome. I don't know what to say except for thanks, man. We just try to put on a good show and have fun. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, super cool. Everybody that's in the chat, it's good to see everybody. So Paul Powers here. What's up, man? Good to see you. Virginia S is here. It's always good to see you. And Terrence Kennedy, good to see you. I'm not sure if that's your first time, but it's awesome to have you here. Little A, it's good to see you. Kevin's good to see you as always, man. So you guys are awesome. Sean is here. What's up, Sean? Good to see you too, man.
Sean just popped on. Janet, what's up, Janet?
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. It's been a minute since we've done a live, but we're excited to come on here and do that. And I'm really excited about this story just because it's the area is not that far from where I'm at. And I actually know somebody has some property out there, so pretty excited about it. So Janet says that she loved the coffee. Awesome. I am so glad that you loved it. It's pretty good stuff. So I'm excited to get that going and get that launched. We're working on some stuff. I've got some stuff in the works to shoot some commercials for, just some different stuff. So got a lot of stuff in the works with that. I'll be talking about that later on probably, but it's good to see everybody. So California Dave is here. Caught it alive, man. I'm glad you caught it alive. Glad you're here with us.
Hey, Cheryl, what's up?
I'm ready for a good scary story. We got that in store. We got that in spades because this story is really, really, really scary. Man, when's the first time you heard about this, Daniel? Because it wasn't on my radar until probably, man, I don't know, probably like a year ago. I'd heard about it. But what about you?
I want to say probably like 2017, maybe. So
yeah. And for you guys who don't know, Honobia is a really rural area, and when you think about Oklahoma, you don't think about mountains, but they have a lot of hilly country, mountains type country, really dense forest, thick forest. A lot of people think of plains when they think of Oklahoma, but this isn't like that. It's the Ouachita Mountain Range. If you go straight from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and you just head straight across, I think you would run into that mountain range. So anyways, pretty cool. Let's see. Taft the Wanderer is here. What's up, Taft? Good to see you, man. I forgot to let you know again that we were doing a live. Sorry. I always forget to tell him, man.
Hey,
so
Taft, friend me on Facebook and then hit me up in Messenger because I send out messages to people that I'm friends with that I know watch our lives, and I try to let them know when we're going live.
He'll do a better job than me.
Hey, man. We're a team, man.
I know, dude. That. Daniel always does a great job, so this live wouldn't be the same without him. And so he puts a lot of work in and gets these stories for you guys and just different stuff. So we're glad you're here, Daniel. Really, really, really glad you're here. So,
man, dude, I'm glad I'm here, and I'm glad I get to interact with you pretty much every day. But I love seeing these people jump on, and they're part of our tribe now. So
it's awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome. This community is really amazing, and guys, we couldn't do it without you. It wouldn't be possible. So just really, really glad that you guys are here and that you support the channel, and excited to have everybody here for the journey. So we got a couple new people here. Poncho. Oh no, he's not new. He's a member. Thank you so much for being here. Been here a minute, first time live. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. We have a good time. We hang out and drink coffee and talk about Bigfoot and cryptids and all kinds of stuff. We just have a good time. We're really laid back. We like to interact with you guys. So if this is your first time here, let us know. Hit us up in the chat. So excited to have everybody here. But
Amity just popped on. She's excited to be here. Awesome. She's Eastern Standard Time. So awesome. She said she'll hang on as long as she can, but she's got to get up to work early in the morning. And, just to let people know, if it's your first time jumping on, we encourage people to interact with us and each other in the chat. I've had a couple people say, man, there's too much stuff going on. People's asking questions about nothing that have nothing to do with what we're talking about, and it just finds a distraction. You don't have to join the live chat, but this is how the community grows. And it's a safe place for people to be here. And you know what? Hey, friendships are made.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's the neatest thing about this, man, is the community that we built out and the friendships that we're making. And because we're all in this together trying to figure this stuff out. And if you've studied Bigfoot at all or had an encounter, you know that the more you learn, the deeper the rabbit hole goes. And so you just got to keep digging. And so hopefully we can get some answers for everybody. And Daniel's right, man. Like, we love to talk to you guys in the chat, and we love the community. So if you have a mystery or an encounter you would like to send me, please send it to me by email at mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. I'm about a week behind. If you sent me an email, I promise I got it. I will respond to you. It's just been crazy. I've got a couple of really interesting stories that are going to come on the show or that we're going to read on the show. But Wade's here. Wade Fisher Outdoors. Awesome. Cheryl said that's her first time here. So we're glad to have you here. Good to see you, Wade, man. Appreciate you being here. So everybody that's here in the chat, we're excited to have y'all here.
Kimberly, not a turkey's here. Awesome.
Yeah, we got some good people here. Really good community. But man, where do you want to start? What all of you dug up with this channel? I guess we could kind of start with, the things that are facts and things that maybe are not facts, because there's a lot of things that are out there that are just
it'll come out, dude. I got like 5 pages of stuff here.
okay, man.
And I try to get it to go as cohesive as possible. I'm just gonna come straight out and say, number one, I'm not going to name the organization,
right?
That first that this family reached out to. I refuse to.
Right.
I refer to them as the org or the organization,
right?
And then we'll get into further as to why I'm not doing that. So you guys ready?
I think we're ready. We got some people in here, so guys, just hold on. This is going to get really good. We're going to get deep into this one. So why don't you tell us the story of the Siege of Honobia, man?
In southeast Oklahoma lies a tiny rural community of only 134 residents by the name of Honobia, Oklahoma. The community is named for the Honobia Choctaw Indian land Ulti. The name of the community is pronounced locally Honubi. Following the Choctaw Indian relocation to the area over the Trail of Tears and the establishment of the Choctaw Nation there, Honobia became home to the Choctaw settlement. Honobia is located on Little River near it's near the Honobia Creek and Rock Creek. The community is located in a particularly picturesque part of the Little River Valley. The river at its point is a fast-flowing mountain stream, and its narrow valley is framed by steep mountains on both north and south, whose summits can reach between 1,600 and 1,800 feet in elevation. The mountains are part of the Kamichi Mountains. Most of the area to the north and south of Honobia are vast tree plantations owned by timber companies. As such, these areas remain wilderness, covering many square miles. Logging provides an important source of jobs for the residents. However, this is not the reason why we are visiting this tiny rural community. Back in the late 90s, something terrifying happened to a family that purchased 30 acres of land next to their father's 10 acres in hopes of providing the type of upbringing they had while growing up for their kids. What happened to the family would become known as the Siege of Honobia. Tim and Mike are brothers, and Tim had bought 30 acres of land, and his house was roughly a quarter of a mile from his dad's house. Early on, while Mike was on the property walking around, he said that he had 2 daytime sightings of these creatures and was not sure what to think of it. By the time he had the second sighting, he knows what he was looking at. He was looking at a Sasquatch. Mike did not want to tell his brother, Tim, because he knew his brother would clown him. One night, Tim was sitting at the table eating dinner with his wife, and this thing screamed at them. Tim later recounted that the scream was so loud that you could feel it. He said he actually felt the scream go through his body. It was so loud it rattled the china set that they owned, where it was housed in a hutch. He called his brother Mike and told him what had happened. Mike, it was so loud it rattled the china set in the cabinet. That's when Mike replied, "It's a Bigfoot, Tim." Tim goes, "What do you mean? Are you kidding me?" After that, the more and more the two would walk around their property, they would see more and more of these creatures. Mike would recall that things started when he would be lying in bed, and like 2 or 3 in the morning, one of these things would come up to the house or the front door and start banging on the door. Now, the front door... Oh, excuse me, I lost my page. Sorry, guys. Now, keep in mind, the property is out in the middle of nowhere. There's no neighbors near. Like I said, the closest house is about a quarter of a mile from this location, and that's his father's. So what he would do is he'd get out of bed and he'd walk to the front door and find nothing there. When Mike was interviewed, he told the interviewer that having to get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I wasn't sure if I just dreamt it or not. Then over a short period of time, the aggression started to escalate. The creature would always come, or creatures would always come after midnight and would leave right before dawn. Mike said it would be a different creature at different times. Sometimes they would come up and bang on his bedroom window, bang on the house, throw rocks at the house, all in the middle of the night and early morning hours. At first, it was just twice a week, but then it turned into an every night occurrence. You guys, this happened every single night. There was not a lull in this activity around this house. Now, the stories that I read, I wasn't sure if Mike also had a house on the property. I would assume that he did, because after reading and listening to a lot of the interviews and stuff that I did, because I listened to like 6 different interviews.
A bunch, yeah.
It was never truly 100% sure. But I'm assuming that both the brothers, because it was 30 acres land, they both built a house on there for their families.
Yeah, I would think so.
Mike said he would catch them peeking in his windows, looking at him and his family, or just his kids. The creatures would even show aggression to his kids by growling at them through the window. It got so bad that he couldn't even sleep. Every night they would come up to the house, bang on it, bang on the windows, come up on the front porch, and bang on the door. Mike and his brother Tim were avid hunters. Mike had a shed out in his backyard where they had hung 5 deer to cure. Now, if anybody knows on how to cure a deer, you're hanging up the meat. It's a cool, dry place, and you rub salt or sugar or seasonings on there to cure the meat to get it, more tasty. Okay. So what had happened is they had it locked in the shed. Well, they went out one day and every single deer that they had was gone. The door had been broken open, and it wasn't just like someone used a pry bar to pry it open. It was literally ripped open, and all 5 deer were gone. At this time, Mike wasn't really putting 2 and 2 together. So one day he got up, walked out to his chicken coop. Now, he had 30 chickens in this chicken coop. That morning that he walked out to the chicken coop, there were 0 chickens in that chicken coop. 0. There were 30 the night before. Now it was chickenless. So he started looking around, and he noticed that there was like a trail of eggshells that were leading away from the chicken coop. And whatever it was cracking open the eggs, eating or drinking the yolk and the whites, and just tossing the eggshells. And he followed it all the way back into the forest. From there, things got even worse. This is when the kids became more involved with the situation going on. Mike's kids and Tim's kids would be outside playing in their yard. Now, the backyard, it backed up to a pasture. And just on the other side of the pasture was the tree line that led into the forest. And when the kids were out there playing, 2 or 3 of these creatures, 3 or 4 sometimes, would come out to the wood line, to the tree line, and growl and holler and show their teeth, would shake rocks, shake trees, would throw rocks at the kids and absolutely terrify them. It got so bad one time that the kids ran into the house screaming and crying. And when they were asked what was going on, all they could say were monsters. Monsters. This is when they needed, they felt that this was getting out of hand. They knew they needed help. It got so bad that it started causing a lot of hardships within the family. Mike's wife, it hit her so hard and so bad that she took her kids and left Mike to stay with family. And as she left, she turned and told Mike and Tim, "You guys need to handle this." While talking to the interviewer, Mike recounted a story that one time his sister and her 2 young children came to visit. Now, Mike, at the entrance of this property, has a gate that you have to stop, get out of your car, unlock it, open the gate, drive through, close it, and then drive up to the house. So at this time, Mike was sitting on the couch watching TV when all of a sudden he heard this loud just scream come from outside, and not sure what was going on. He jumps up, he grabs his rifle, he takes off outside. He looks out there and he gets to his sister to ask what's going on. And she's hysterical. One of the children was up underneath the dash in the front of the car. So they were down the floorboard of the car. They were trying to climb up into the dash. And the other child was in the back seat of the floorboard, just crying. Both the kids were crying hysterically. The one in the front could not be consoled. The one in the back finally was able to mutter the word monster. And that's when he realized what had happened. When his sister had calmed down enough to tell him what had happened, this is what she told him. She goes, Mike, I pulled up to the gate and stopped. I put my car in park and left the car door open. As I started to open the gate, 3 of these monsters stepped out of the wood line and started to growl at us. Then they started throwing softball-sized rocks at us in the car. All I could do was scream and run back into the car. That's when you came running out. When they saw you, they ran away. Yeah, Antonio, that's true. Episode 11.
Yeah, I agree too.
Another. Say what?
I just saying I agree. That's one of the scariest ones I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another time Mike had recalled one of his nieces had come over. She was roughly 18, 19 years old. And she had recently broke her foot the year prior, but it hadn't fully healed yet. And so as again, he's sitting on his couch and he hears someone screaming bloody murder from outside. He gets up, he runs to the door, only to have his niece come running in the door. He thinks that she had screamed because maybe she stepped out of her car and, stepped down on her foot wrong and hurt it again. When he sits her down on the couch, she's shaking and she's white as a ghost. And again, all she could mutter is monster. By this time, this is all had been going on for roughly 2 years. So from the time that Mike had first seen it and Tim had first experienced the scream while he's eating dinner with his wife up until that time, it's been a 2-year time.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah. And when that happened with his niece, he was like, that's the last straw. He's had enough. So he walked into his bedroom and grabbed his rifle. Now, still, what's going on is this creature is still outside the house. So he runs out after it. He hears it run alongside of the house towards the back. So he goes and he gives it chase. He's chasing around the back. Well, I get the picture of Keystone Cops. So you got one guy running and you got another group of guys chasing him just in a big circle. And that's pretty much what's going on. But this big guy, he got it back around to the front of the house. And that's when Mike heard his niece scream super loud again. And as he comes running around the corner of the front of the house, he sees this thing taken off into the woods. And what he does is he goes and he takes a shot. He said it's the first time he's ever shot at something he couldn't see, but he saw the bushes and stuff moving, and that's where he directed his shot. So
yeah, I'll be right back, man. Keep reading.
Sure. So you guys, what happened is when he took that shot, after it, he goes back into the house and he asks his niece, he's like, what happened? And she said she pulled up, got out of her car, locked the car door. And when she looked up, this creature was standing roughly 20 feet away from her. And it just growled at her. She said that's when she had taken off. She said that's when he had taken off. Mike had taken off after the creature. Mike described that the front of the house. Excuse me. I'm sorry, guys. I lost my place again. She said She looked up, saw the creature standing roughly 20 feet away from her, growling. She said that when he had taken off after the creature, Mike had described that the front of his house had a huge bay window. So when he took off after the creature, came back around, the creature stopped and looked into this bay window. And he actually had to duck down and look into the window because he was so tall. And that's when his niece yelled and screamed again. And when he did look back in at her, he curled his lips up and showed his teeth while growling at her. And then when he heard Mike coming around the side of the house, he took off. Now, it isn't like that this family has been out making offerings. They're not dancing in the moonlight. They're not playing flutes and drums, and they're not trying to make nice. They're just trying to live their life. If anything, these creatures, as the interviewer said on his podcast, these creatures were pretty much terrorists to this family. So now after Mike, go ahead.
No, I just say I agree, man. That kind of behavior that they're showing is hostile, and it makes you wonder what started that. Why attack the house like they did, in the first place. There's just so many questions after hearing what you've got so far. I mean, it's a wild story, man, and that's why I get a lot of flack sometimes because I think these things are evil. I call that out on my show, and a lot of times people are, why do you think that? But I mean, this is just some of the behavior that makes me think that. But
oh, for sure. I mean, again, people's encounters are different from the next. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
So now after Mike's family had left to go stay with family members, Mike and Tim were sitting back to back in the house when one of these creatures came up to the back window and peeked in. Seeing both the brothers sitting there, it got their attention. As it did, it curled back its lips and bared its teeth and growled at them. "That's it. I've had enough," Tim shouts. He gets up and chases off after the thing. Following his brother, Mike backs up Tim. When Tim gets outside, he fires 3 shots, hitting the creature once in the back, once in the head, and once in the lungs. Mike said that when they get shot, they fall and they try to get back up like humans do. So if you've ever seen movies where someone will get shot and they fall and they try to get back up and they stumble forward and they try to get back up again, that's exactly what this thing did. He said that it got up and tried to run, but it would drop, and it repeated that a couple more times until it didn't get up again. He said that it dropped not far from the house, maybe 70 yards. Mike said that he and his brother sat and listened to this thing. They heard it gurgling. They heard it wheezing. They heard it take its last breath. And when it did die, they said, "We're going to go out and bring that body back to the house." So as they made their way out towards the body, not far from it was the tree line. And just inside that tree line, they heard multiple of these things in what they called a state of panic. They were running around and making noises. When they started to walk closer to the body, that's when a group of these things rushed out at them. Mike and Tim backed off and watched this big one, roughly 8.5 feet tall, run up, pick up the body of the dead one, slung it over its shoulder, and ran back off in the woods. And when it was safely back inside the woods, the rest of the group that rushed out with them scattered off. That's when they decided to contact an organization for help. And like I said before, I'm not going to name this organization because it is well known and documented that this organization likes to take liberties with stories and encounters and whatnot, and make them fit their own narrative, whatever that narrative may be. So I pulled part of the email that Mike sent to this organization, and it reads, "Too many incidences to mention. Please have someone contact us. This is not a hoax, and my brother is afraid for his family. This creature is getting bolder every time it returns. This thing is huge. It walks upright, smells like musky urine and burnt hair type odor. It repeatedly comes back in the early morning hours after midnight and harasses them until it's just before dawn. It has on more than one occasion tried to enter their home. We do not know where to turn. Everyone thinks that we're crazy when we mention it. Please, we do not know what to do, but I do know that something needs to be done. There are stories we could tell that would make the hair on your neck stand. And now there's a part in here where it says, on more than one occasion, they attempted to enter the house. Now, this is cleared up when the interviewer is actually on the phone. This interview spoke with Mike for over 2 hours. And to clear up that part, the organization, when they posted about this, their report, they posted that the way they posted it made it sound like day one that these creatures were trying to get in the house. That's not the case.
No.
Mike and Tim both have said they're both on record saying these creatures did not try to enter our house until after we killed that one.
Yeah.
And they would come up on the porch, they would jiggle the handle, they would pull on the handle, they would try to open it up. And I don't know, if I was one of those, if I was a Sasquatch and I watched one of my buddies get blasted, a door's not going to stop me from getting in. No, it really is not. But I think the fact that Tim did shoot and kill that one, and I wholeheartedly believe it. I think that the fact that Mike has shot at it or shot at them, they know that those guys mean business, and I don't think they're going to take any chances trying to come into a house and get shot themselves. So that's just my way of thinking. So,
well, first off, man, I appreciate the work you did on that story so far. I know you do your due diligence to get to the truth of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff out there, especially with that unnamed organization, that they really did a misjustice to those people in that family, and hopefully, we can change some of that. It's what we're trying to do is just give people a safe platform to share their encounters or whatnot. Because man, I think they definitely took advantage of them. I'm
still not done.
For reasons. I know you're not done. I know there's more. I'm just saying it's pretty incredible. So, that's a good point, man, about, not coming to the house after knowing that they shot one of these things. Mm-hmm. They know those guys, mean business. Like, they're not playing around. No. But man, could you imagine being there for 2 years? That's a long time, man, for this stuff to happen and to go on. And how much didn't make it into the story, right? Like, you got to think about that. How much was in there that just never made it, So
I wish I knew if they still owned this property, because the interviewer is a very well-known person in this community.
Yeah.
And I'll say his name at the end of this. I have a lot of respect for this person. He does a lot of due diligence before he has anybody on. He's actually visited locations after hearing stories. And so if they still own this area, he just had, I want to say, a cousin or a nephew on that's related to those guys, Tim and Mike, and he says there's still stuff going on today.
Yeah.
Today.
That's crazy. I would be curious as to what was going on. And it's a shame that they won't talk about it, man, because I've got so many questions, but we might not ever know, but maybe we will, man.
Yeah.
But what else you got, man? I know you got more.
So after reading more of the report from the organization, they're loosely describing the accounts relayed by Mike and Tim. They go on and report that Tim may have hit a Bigfoot, but when they track the blood trails, when they, not Tim and Mike, when the experts
tracked it,
it led to a fresh deer kill. Now, from the time that they shot this Bigfoot to the time that their group of experts came out there, it was a couple of days. Okay. This contradicts the story told by Mike and Tim to the interview. I would like to add that Mike and Tim have spoken to this interviewer on multiple occasions and have also exchanged many, many emails. Now, Mike reached out to his organization, and when they got back to him, he explained the whole reason for them reaching out is to get rid of these things. They want them off the property. They want them gone. The organization then says, hey, well, we'll send out some investigators. Mike promptly told him, no, we do not want investigators out here.
Right.
I want experts out here, and you better bring a hunter as well. They continued to talk off and on with the organization and made arrangements to have them come out. So the next day, after they shot this Bigfoot, Tim and Mike went out to where the creature was shot. Mike told the interviewer that if you took 3 5-gallon buckets of blood and threw it everywhere, this is what the scene looked like. There was blood everywhere. There was brain matter on the ground. And he said it wasn't until after they shot that thing is when they, meaning the creatures, tried to get into the house. Mike and Tim went out and purchased night vision gear, had semi-automatic rifles. They called the organization again, and that's when the organization finally sent out a group of experts. They came out bringing with them a 74-year-old man who was the hunter. According to Mike, this hunter slept about 99% of the time in his car. To this day, as far as you know, Mike is still upset with his organization.
Well, he has every right to be, man. I mean, he does. They really did an injustice with that, but you know.
When the organization came out, they were trying to buy the property from Mike and Tim because they wanted to do some kind of Jane Goodall research there. Mike and Tim had several arguments with the organization, telling them that we didn't call you to come out here and do some type of research project. We called you out here because we wanted you to take care of these creatures, and get rid of them. So after they kept telling them, no, we're not gonna sell this to you, whoever the ground leader was on the ground crew kept in contact with the organization's headquarters. Mike said after the first night there, 2 of the experts were so scared that they started packing their stuff up. Mike believes that they had absolutely no clue what they were doing, had never seen or encountered one of these creatures, let alone seen one. He had to basically go to these guys and talk to them and almost beg them, hey, stay, you're here to help us. We need your help. Mike took the time with the interviewer and described what he was looking at. Some of those creatures that he described said they look like a gorilla or a human mix. They're different colors. Some of them kind of look like they have Down syndrome. He goes, their faces are pretty messed up. They have big eyes, and during the daytime, you'll see black eyes. But during the night, the eyes will take on a different shine depending on what type of light you're using. So if you use just a regular flashlight, they're going to glow a red. If you use like a halogen light, you might get like a different, like an amber or something like that. Mike says that the eyes do not glow. They do not have a way of self-illumination. He also said that he stated that he believes that they're an ape. He believes they're some type of wild animal. He thinks they're crazy but not stupid. He said that bright lights do not scare them off. On multiple occasions that he has woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning only to look out his window and see one standing there in the light out in his yard, just and kind of swaying back and forth, looking up at his window.
That's wild to me, man. Like,
yeah.
How do you sleep? Here's the thing for me, and I know you got more to go over, but how, after 2 years of this, how do you even sleep at night? I guess they just get used to it. And I mean, I guess that's all they could do, but I know a lot of people would have packed up, moved, and left, So, I mean, that's, I don't know. I don't think I could have stayed for 2 years and slept very well. I know that.
Oh, I'd have climbed on top of my house. I would have had like a nice little right? Sniper's nest up there, and I would have killed every single one of them. And I just left their bodies lay.
Exactly.
And then if they were to try to come out for them, I'd have blasted them.
Yep. Hey, I want to take a quick second to say hi to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Daniel's doing an amazing job with the story. I know you guys are enjoying this so far. So if this is your first time, make sure to let us know. We got a lot of new people in the chat. But, bro, you're doing a good job, man. So just continue on. I'm enjoying the heck out of this. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
So what was really peculiar about the one that he would normally see out there in the light, just kind of like taunting him, he goes, this was the one that came out and grabbed the dead one that Tim shot. This was the one that was over 8 feet tall. And this one had more of an ape look to it. And what it would do is that it would show itself at different times, like during the day or during dusk or something like that. It would show itself and it would pace back and forth. It would toss rocks at him. And one time, they're like, I'm taking care of this guy. And so they both start walking out towards him with their rifles. And whenever they get a certain thing, he would back up. He'd back up towards the tree line. He'd back up towards the tree line. Well, then Mike stopped and he realized something was going on. He looked around. He looked to his left and he looked to his right. And he had tree lines on his left and his right and at his front. And that's when he heard something moving in the on both sides of him. That big mother effer was drawing them out into an ambush, and Mike caught on to it, and he's like, nope, they're lying in wait for us. And they backed up. But that thing would continuously, like almost daily, would taunt them and try to get them to come out and get into that area. And would try to get them to go into that ambush area. So, because there's no doubt in my mind that if they would have gone out there and they were not hyper alert and hyper vigilant, we wouldn't be hearing about this story. We would have heard about, hey, local farmers killed in an animal attack or something like that. So they get back to the house. There was also a time before that his wife had left. Mike was laying in his bed, and he said he always kept his rifle and his night vision gear in, by his bed. And while he was lying there, this creature walked up and had to bend down and look into his bedroom window. And it growled at him and curled his teeth and showed his teeth. And when he jumped up and grabbed for his rifle, the creature took off. And as soon as he got to the window to look out the window, he heard his wife screaming. So he takes off into the living room. He's like, what's going on? She goes, I just saw one. I just saw it. It looked in the window. He goes, was it gray? And she's like, yep, it was gray. So again, there are so many things to go on, and there's so many interviews, or there's so many, stories of this out there that, I've had to go to different sources. And the one that stuck out to me to be, I'll just put it this way. A lot of the ones out there are just pretty much reading and then discussing what this organization posted.
Yep.
Okay. I read that entire report. The report made these people sound like a bunch of dumb, inbred rednecks, a bunch of poachers. They claimed that they purposely planted plots of sugar peas out on the property to lure deer so they could poach these deer. Now, the thing is this. I know, living in West Virginia, living in Tennessee, I've come across sugar peas in the wild. I have.
Yeah.
I've come across leeks. I've come across onions. I've come across potatoes. I've come across a lot of things that grow wild. And that's what they said. They grow wild. Well, the organization, their grand idea was on how to get rid of these things were, if you guys get rid of all those sugar peas, the deer will leave. And if the deer leave, then these creatures will leave. And that just blows my mind.
It makes no sense, man. If that is the best that this community has, we are in trouble, and we're never going to get any answers. And guys, we don't come in here and bash anybody. And there's a reason why, we haven't mentioned the name yet. You guys know who we're talking about, but that's crazy to me that was their solution, man. That's wild.
Well, and the thing is that, and this isn't the first time I've heard it just reading the story. I've heard this many, many, many times, that Sasquatch are master mimics. They're ventriloquists.
Mhm.
They know how to throw their voice. They know how to mimic things. It may not be spot on. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that there's times where Mike had also told the interviewer, and Tim has also told the interviewer, that Tim recounted a story that him and his dad were out at Mike's place and they were doing something. And all of a sudden they heard Mike calling for his dogs. And they're like, what do you mean? Mike's here? I thought Mike was gone. I thought Mike left. And they looked and Mike's car was gone. Mike had left. It was one of these creatures mimicking his voice, calling for his dogs, and they were out in the woods and they were trying to lure them out.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I've actually heard an audio clip, and I wish I knew where I heard it. And I want to say, I'm just going to say the name Sarah, because I think that's what the name was. And there was a lady and her husband. They lived on this property, and it backed up to a national forest. And the husband would always, the wife would always like be out in the backyard doing something with her garden or whatever. And her husband would come home and he'd go, Sarah, I'm home. Sarah, you know, and he would say her name on multiple occasions. Well, there was one day that he was sitting on the back deck, and all of a sudden he heard his voice call for his wife. And so he started recording these, and I'm telling you,
You could hear it.
You heard it. Sarah.
It's wild, man.
Sarah, come here. Like what?
I was talking to a guy that, and I don't remember what episode it was, but he was talking about a buddy of his that has some property in the state of Washington, I believe. Probably somewhere you're pretty familiar with. I think we had a conversation about it, but he said his buddy's, he's got a log home out there, and long story short, he got trapped in between a couple of logs or something. He was out there working on the house, and he said that he was sitting out there and he heard somebody screaming his name over and over and over. And he said ever since then, basically, you know, that's just something that would happen from time to time. And I think they, you know, for whatever reason, they try to draw you out. Now, if you talk to some Native American people, they say that, you know, they're cannibals. They would come and eat the children and take kids and things like that. And so it makes me wonder if they do that just to lure you away. And that's probably what was going on with the Honobia situation. I'm sure that they were just trying to get them lured away from the property, maybe because they thought, well, there's guns associated with their property, their building, you know? So it makes you wonder, man.
You know, and, you know, at the end, you know, the interviewer, he asked Mike, he's like, Mike, let me ask you a couple questions. He's like, sure, what's going on? He's like, one, do you think that this organization notified the authorities? And two, do you think the organization treated you wrong? Do you think they did you dirty? And Mike's answer was both was yes to both of them.
Yeah.
100%. Hey, Tom and Kim Brown, new listeners, awesome.
Yeah,
but,
awesome.
You know, and I didn't type it out because I knew I was gonna remember this part of the story. Mike said that after this organization had left, okay, it was literally a daily thing, almost 24/7, that they would see DNR in their vehicles sitting outside down the road from them, and they had to stop what they were doing, you know, because again, I'm pretty sure that Tim and Mike took more shots at them, you know, than what we're thinking.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
because
sure.
I'll tell you right now, if I had a 300 Winchester mag, and please, even my AR, you know, or any of the other things I had, every time I saw one, I would do absolutely anything I could I would take shots at him every chance I could.
I would tell you this. I would do the same way, man. I definitely would, for a while, would plant my feet, man, and make them know that, hey, I'm not going anywhere. Now, how long I would do that, I don't know, but I definitely would let them know, because that's crazy, man. The whole situation is insane, and we got a lot of people in the comments, that are saying stuff, and it. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, man. Didn't they start seeing government officials pop up on the property?
Okay, yeah, I was just
Are
about
you getting there?
that.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Before you do, we got. You guys remember the Dogman encounter from 2 weeks ago? This is him. This is Steven. He's here with us tonight, man. So if you enjoyed that encounter, hit him up, say hi to him in the chat. I put his comment up front here so everybody can see that. So also, if you haven't noticed this map back here behind me, one thing I think I'm going to do, and I know we're getting off topic, we'll get back to the story, but I think I'm going to start putting a pin for everybody's story that is sent into the show. So just want to let you guys know what was going on with that. Things look a little different, but excited to have everybody here. And AAO, you just contributed $20 to the show. Thank you so much for that. You guys are awesome. What a great community we got hanging out with us tonight, and we really do appreciate everybody being here. So, Daniel, for real, man, you're doing a great job. So I'll shut up and let you get back to your story, man.
Hey, AO, thank you so much. We truly appreciate that $20 super chat. Thank you so much. And again, you guys, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate you guys jumping on here, keeping the live, because I have a laptop over here to my left. I have my phone directly in front of me, so I kind of look down, and I'm almost distracted sometimes because I see the chat just moving and moving and moving and moving, and I love seeing that. So,
it's going.
But you talked about the government vehicle. So, and it only happened one time that he had mentioned. I there's no doubt in my mind. Well, I mean, if you have DNR, then that's government vehicle, but there's no doubt in my mind that they were probably out there more than this one time that he called, because what he saw is that he was, I want to say he was walking out his door, and he looked, and where he could see their phone box. So a lot of people back in the day, you had a box that was out on a pole, and in that box had wiring that would go from the telephone line over to your house or whatever, and you could just open it up. You just had like a seal on it or something like that. You had to pop that seal in order, and then they had a key to unlock it. Well, this guy pulls up in like this black car, and he goes out and he opens up the box, and he's doing something in there, and Mike walks out, and he's like, what are you doing? I know you're not with the phone company. What are you doing? And he goes, oh, I'm with the power company. And he's like, well, and he has his rifle in his hand. He's like, well, what are you doing? And the guy, he just kept stammering over himself, and he just closed the box and he left. And so, after that happened, he would hear, whenever he would make a phone call, it sounded like someone else was picking up. So, they had tapped his line, which is, it's bananas to me, you guys, honestly. And, and that's pretty much, what I got. Now, the person that I'm referring to as the interviewer is Mr. Wes Germer. I have nothing but great things to say about Wes Germer. He's a very, very busy guy. Currently right now, there's a ton of forest fires going on up and around his area. So you guys pray for him. And pray for everybody in that area. And the reason I go to Wes Germer is, like I said earlier, Wes Germer is not going to just put something on just to put something on. He's going to try to vet it as much as he possibly can before he puts it on. I listened to episode 11 3 times alone today while I was working, just so I can try to get a lot of this stuff to memory. And then when on my breaks and lunches at work, I would just start typing stuff out as I would remember. If I had it, a block, then I would go back and listen to it again. I have no love, and someone said the organization's name in here. I've got no love for that organization. I really don't know. They're very good at documenting, and they have a database out there, which is really, really good. But I mean, if you've watched Finding Bigfoot, you know who the main guy is on that. I think that guy's a clown. That's just my opinion. Because I don't honestly think. I think what that guy does is he surrounds himself with people that
Right.
make himself look more credible.
Yeah.
And again, I'm never going to tell someone, "Oh, I don't believe that you saw something. I don't believe that you heard something or experienced something," because I wasn't in your situation. But then when you come out and on camera say, "Oh, that's beyond a shadow of doubt. That is 100% a Sasquatch. I know it because I'm an expert." You're not an expert. You're really not. I'm not an expert. I will never be an expert in this stuff. And Tracy, I can neither confirm nor deny names to that magnitude.
Yeah, if you guys want to know what I mean, just read in the chat. But yeah, we're not going to call them out, but we're going to, So yeah, we got a lot of chat going on, man. It's hard to keep up. So if we miss somebody, I'm doing my best, guys, to keep up with it. But yeah, I will say one comment somebody brought up, and I mean, you talked about this the other day. See if I can go back and find it. Wade says, "How about Mysteries Unknown get together? We could meet up, go somewhere. Y'all might see Bigfoot like LBL. Y'all come down East Tennessee. We can go out, see what happens. That would be awesome."
We've already talked about it, dude.
We've been talking about that, guys. We've been talking about doing a meet and greet sometime in the future, and maybe doing I don't know, a mini conference, something like that. I'm not really sure, but we got some stuff in the works. So we talk about this stuff all the time. So yeah, it would be exciting. We'd love to meet everybody face to face sometime. That would be awesome. But here's a good comment: there are no experts. Amen. That's a good point. One of the things that we talk about all the time is if somebody comes on the show and they're like, "Hey, I'm an expert," then I almost instantly tune them out, because I'm like, there are no experts. There's people that have a lot of opinions, and I know what I saw, and Daniel knows what he seen, but we still have two different opinions of what these things are. And I don't know anybody that could be an expert, so far. So anyways, dude, that they tap their lines, and if they're doing that, man, it makes you. Here's my question: is why do you think they care so much, man, about that?
Well, it's funny because they actually went through that. Again, there's a lot of things. Okay, so I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. You guys, my family, my dad, my grandfather, my whole dad's side of the family were loggers and fishermen. Okay. I had an uncle that lived in Aberdeen, and Aberdeen, if anybody knows about Aberdeen, Washington was a huge logging company or logging town. Like that in its heyday, that was a very, very busy hub for logging. And when they found the spotted owl, just literally towns disappeared, economies just tanked. And I honestly think that, lumber, DNR, things like that, 100% know about it and are going to do what they can to keep, the big machine rolling, I guess, honestly, because just think about it. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. If tomorrow I get up and I turn on any news agency, I'm not going to tell you which one I like to watch, but any news agency, and they have a breaking news, and it's the long standing cryptid known as Bigfoot has been sighted, captured. It is now being studied. They have one in a zoo or something like that. You could bet your bottom dollar that I'm loading up my gun, I'm loading up my camera, and I'm going to go out there to shoot it. Now, I'm going to go out there to shoot it to take pictures.
Right.
But I'm going to have my gun on me just in case one gets stupid.
Well, that's always smart to do. And, and I know that me and you have two different opinions. And, guys, I would love to know what your opinion is of Bigfoot. So whether you think it's, fallen angel or just flesh and blood, let us know in the comments. But with that being said, man, I just lost my train of thought. You ever do that? I guess I need to drink more coffee.
Yes, I do. I do, dude. I do all the time.
It's age, I guess. But why do you think? Oh yeah, why do you think that they stayed so long on that property and are still there? Why do you think they stayed so long, man?
Because it's their property, it's their home, it's
Yeah.
something that they love, it's something that is, you have to understand, they bought it because they wanted their kids to grow up in an environment like they did. They grew up playing in the woods, they grew up hunting, they grew up fishing, they grew up gathering, you know, and that's what they wanted for their kids. They wanted their kids to not be like a lot of the kids growing up in that age. Now I'm assuming their kids were probably between the ages of say 4 and 8, 4 and 10. Okay, that would put their kids in their mid 30s now, late 20s, mid 30s. You know, they don't want their kids to grow up like a lot of the kids that we have nowadays. You know, think about it. If anybody in this chat, anybody that watches this later could go out of their front door, walk down the street, and if you have people that walk around, you're going to see 99% of them with what? Their phone in their hand, looking at their phone and not paying attention to what's going on around them. And they wanted to prevent that from their kids, you know? Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, we were fortunate growing up. You brought up some good points. I grew up, man, my mom and dad, you know, would wake me up, make me go outside. I spent all my time out in the woods and playing and all those kinds of things, you know, and I was very fortunate because I think that, you know, that makes you a better person. You know, I think that technology can be good. Obviously, we're using it now, but man, it hurts our kids, man. The kids growing up today, they don't know what it's like to grow up like we did. So, pretty fortunate. We got a lot of comments about what they think Bigfoot is. So I'm going to try to go and read through some of these because there's a lot.
Again, like I said, you know, you and I, like you said earlier, you and I, our opinions on this are absolutely
totally different,
polar opposites.
Totally different, guys. So you might not think
polar
that, but we don't agree, and that's what makes this such a great community. Is, you know, how boring would it be if we all had the same opinion? I guess, but Renee says both. Let's see, Red Dirt. Cryptid Investigations. Guys, if you've not checked out this channel, go check it out. Great guy from Oklahoma. They got some good stuff. He says Flesh and Blood. Let's see. Amity says, my absolute favorite channel. Thank you so much. Poncho says Fallen Angel or Biosuit for Aliens. Cheryl says Flesh. And Janet says Flesh. And then
hold on,
Virginia says...
1 second. Who said that? Biosuit for Aliens?
I'll pop it up here.
Okay, Poncho. Bro, I just listened to a podcast and that actual topic was just brought up a lot. Some people believe that, one, they are flesh and blood, but they are a host for an alien, kind of like what you saw in Independence Day, or like in Men in Black. The Sasquatch, they're used for aliens to get around because of their size, their strength, their agility, their ability to their endurance, their constitution. You know, they're just rough, rugged creatures, and an alien will attach itself to it and utilize it as a biosuit.
Well, and here's the thing with that, man, and this ties into what you really honestly what I believe is I think all these aliens encounter, and I know, guys, we're all over the place, but that's what we do on the show sometimes. Yeah, I think that those are demonic entities. I think if you see an alien, you're seeing a demon. I don't think that they're little green men from outer space, you know, and that's just my opinion. But so I could see how that, you know, all ties together. But I will say this is a good comment though. I gotta. He says, Paul says, if it's not blurry, it's not a Bigfoot. That's good, man. That's good.
Hey, Jeff Bell, what's the worst show ever with this guy? What are you referring to?
Definitely let us know. Definitely.
Thank you, Janet.
Yeah, Janet, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. Aliens are the fallen ones, demonic. They are masters of deception. Christopher, I agree with you, man. I do. I think that's exactly what they are. It's a very interesting world, and we're all going to have different opinions. But one thing I will say, guys, is you're allowed to have opinion here. But if you're going to come on here and bash somebody or be rude, man, I'm not okay with that. And that's a quick way to get yourself ejected. So make sure you guys are friendly in the comments, man. So far it's been that way, man. We've got a really good community. Everybody seems to be really friendly for the most part. So,
well, I don't know who he was referring that to. I don't know if he was talking about me or someone in the chat or talking about you. I don't know, but as you can see, he probably jumped on, made his little comment, and then jumped off because
a lot of people do.
Well, I'm gonna call it as I see it. He's a coward, and if you're gonna say something, back up what you got to say. I mean, I think a lot of us in here are old school. And if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it to your face, and then I'm going to back it up. I'm not going to sit here and stand down from you. So
this is the generation, man, that and I think this is definitely what's different from people today and how we grew up is you had a problem with somebody in school, you would say, meet me out behind the school. You'd fight about it. But here's the difference, though, is after you were done, if you knocked them down, you picked them up off the ground and you shook hands and everything was good. And I think that's the problem with people today is they don't do that. They hold grudges and they get on behind screens and say stuff or whatever. But
man, I can't tell you how many friends I have still to this day that we got into knockdown fights, and the next day we're like buddies. So
that's how it was for me, man. Like that was like a rite of passage. You had to go get taken behind the school shed and get the crap beat out of you. It's what it was. But anyways, so here's I want to read this one from Jesus is King. Says scriptures in the book of Zechariah of a cigar shaped craft in the sky, along with Ezekiel's will, OFC. Who knows what they really are? Yeah, there's some strange stuff in the Bible, man. Like it's hard to say the word shapeshifter, but if you think about it, man, really an angel can be a shapeshifter, and that's so weird coming out of your mouth because you don't hear that in churches. It's not taught, but it's a wild world, man. It's a really wild world. But man, what else?
Well, I mean, the thing is about Sasquatch. Again, people say they're interdimensional beings, they're aliens, they're pets of aliens, they're fallen angels, they're Nephilim, they're flesh and blood. I've seen some pretty crazy videos out there, and some of them are just obvious, just jokes. And I think I spoke to you on an earlier live that we did on one that I saw. And if anybody has seen this, let me know. The lady, she would take people out on this property that she knew of or she owned. And it was a lot of property. And I want to say it was up in the Pacific Northwest. And she had a group of people out there, and they're walking along this path. And she goes, "Oh, I just saw one. I just saw like a juvenile, like an infant." And she pointed down this trail. She's like, "Just be very quiet, be very subtle." She goes, "It's still there." And a person had their camera and they're filming down this trail, and you see something drop out of the tree onto the path, kind of like make like a half turn to like kind of look at the group, and then took off running away from them down the trail. And what it looked like, it was like the Predator from that movie, The Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The way it would like pixelate itself or whatever, had that shimmer or whatever. You saw something moving, but you wasn't sure what you were seeing. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's too organic to be any type of CGI. So a lot of people are saying that their hair, the way their hair is, they're able to refract light.
I've heard that, and
give them that kind of camouflage ability. But again, I don't know, because I've never been, in that situation. When I saw mine, I was in a car. Okay, so
it's hard to tell, man. I don't know. When I saw mine, it was completely black. Like I couldn't see any really details other than the outline of this thing, and it was massive. But I didn't see any eye shine. I didn't see anything just other than just like, hey, a normal flesh and blood type creature, except for the feeling that I felt, and which was very, there's I don't want to say normal fear, but there's just, the normal typical, hey, I'm afraid, I'm scared type feeling. But then there's the fear that's like dread. A lot of times you hear about these Dogman encounters that they come along with. It felt like that. It had a very, I was very aware that it was not my friend. I'll put it that way. I knew it hated me. I don't know how other to say that, just to say that. But Frida, I'm related to Frida. She's amazing, and I'm glad you're here, Frida. She goes, I think they are Nephilim and something demonic, like you said, aliens are. Yep, that's what I think. I really do think that, and I think that, just some advice, guys. If you're going to go out there and you're going to hunt this stuff, and you're going to go out looking for this stuff, for one, generally, if you look for it, you're probably not going to find it. But if you do find it, man, it's important to stay prayed up. Now, unless you're like Paw, he finds it all the time. Like, he's had lots of different encounters and different things like that. But man, you guys need to be very careful. Stay prayed up. It's so important. And if you see something, please let me know. You can email me. My address is at the bottom of the ticker there. It's mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. So if you have a story, would like to come on the show, would love to have you on. So you got anything else from that story, man?
No, I don't, man. That's it.
That was a great one. You did a great job. That was good. For real. I appreciate all the hard work putting that together, because I know that information is all over the place. And so getting that piece together and finding all that information is, and getting to the truth, that's important, because that's what we try to do here. But I really would like to know how things are going out there. And unfortunately, because they're experienced, they're probably not going to talk about it anymore,
No, in the last interview on the one of the last two, I want to say, episodes on Sasquatch Chronicles, like Wes had, I think I want to say a cousin, but I think it's a nephew of Mike and Tim. They said they will not talk about it at all. They just won't.
It's unfortunate, because I think people need to know that these things are out there, and it's so important. But I don't know, man. I'm not trying to go here and bash anybody, but that organization really should do a better job, man, because they do a good job of the database, things like that, but they sure didn't help them out in their situation at all, So, that's not the first time I've heard about, Bigfoot coming and carrying off the body of one of their dead. I don't know if you guys remember Mr. Black, who came on the show, and I know that me and you've talked about that episode a lot, Daniel.
Yep.
There's a lot of holes in that story, I think, but when he had his encounter and he saw the dead bodies of those things and saw the other creatures come and carry them away, man, I guess that's probably, one of the things they do. But, I think when these things are flesh and blood, they're flesh and blood. And when they're not, they're something else, just how, we're spiritual beings trapped in flesh. That's what we are. And so I think that's kind of the same thing. But Christopher says, I wish Daniel and Josh were my neighbors. Dude, that would be cool. I wish I'm telling you, if me and Daniel were neighbors, we would get in trouble probably. So
100%.
Yeah, man. So, but I appreciate everybody being here so far. This has been a good show. I know that there's a lot of work that goes into that, but anyways, let's see here. But if you guys would like to hear a Dogman encounter, and I know we play some of these, but we've got some Dogman audio stuff. If you guys would like to hear that, drop a 1 in the comment section and we'll play that for you guys. It's one of the scariest encounters that I've ever heard. I know that every time I play this, Daniel turns his lights off for whatever reason. And I'm like, turn more lights on, but we got one. If we get 5 1s, we'll play that. So we got another one. So everybody loves this story. You going to keep your lights on this time?
No.
Daniel, your vote doesn't count. You're the co-host, man.
So you know what? That's Boulder Dash. I'm not putting up with shenanigans anymore.
And guys, if you've heard the story before, stay with us. It's really good. It's worth listening to. These things I could sit and talk about all night long. It really blows my mind. Some of these things that I
want to find this guy.
I do too. If you guys, okay, we're getting lots of ones, so we'll have to play it. But if you guys know this guy or know how to get in contact with this guy, reach out to us. Let us know. You got your lots off, so you're ready to go. So,
Yep.
Okay, I'm hoping this is the right one. So let me make sure the volume's turned up all the way. Yeah, I think this is it. I think. Okay, here we go, guys.
And, you know, this thing keeps drawing closer and closer to me, and I just can't make out what this thing is. It don't look like anything that I've ever seen. It gets close to the barbed wire fence on the right-hand side, and I think, well, maybe it's going to slow down, or maybe it'll veer off where it won't run into that barbed wire, and it'll turn aside out of my way. But it didn't do that. Instead of doing that, this thing sped up. And instead of turning aside, it jumped right over the fence. And it landed on my side of the fence, in between the ditch line and the fence. And then it took another bound. And the next thing I know, this thing is out in the road. I mean, it's right next to my vehicle. And it scared me so bad that I just jerked the wheel to the left and went over as far as I dared into the left-hand lane. And this thing, it started running right along beside of me. I had cherry bomb mufflers on that car, and if you know what they're like, they're loud. But yet, at the same time, I could hear the nails of this thing, the toenails, click, 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 clacking on the road as it ran along beside me. And I could see it good now. I really didn't want to look at its face. I really didn't want to see its face. But I couldn't help it. It's just like I couldn't help myself. I had to. And, I mean, this thing was tall. It had to be at least 7 feet tall. It towered over the top of my car. And it was running along beside me. It couldn't have been more than 5 or 6 feet off the passenger side of my car. Just, I mean, right even with my passenger side window. I could see it just as clear as day. And I know that if it wanted to, this thing could have reached right in my car window and right over to the driver's side from the passenger side, and this thing could have grabbed me, and it could have drugged me right out of the car. If it wanted to, it could have just ripped my head off, or it could have leaned in my car window, and it could have bit my head off. I don't know. I know it could have, and I wanted to get out of there, but I didn't dare because I was in this steep curve, and I knew that if I hit the gas, this car probably wasn't going to be able to handle the curve, and it was going to run off in the ditch, and I was going to wreck. And I was going to be there alone with this thing, and I was going to be at its mercy. And for a little while, it just ran along beside me and just didn't pay me any attention. But that didn't last. Just slowly, seemed like it took forever, but just slowly, it started to turn its head, and it looked at me. I couldn't help it. I looked full in its eyes. I wish that I hadn't. I wish I'd never seen it. I wish I could erase the picture of what I saw from my mind, but I can't. This thing had great big black eyes. All I could see was black, and then they just looked as black to me as a bottomless pit. They just seemed soulless to me, and I just had a sense of evil that came over me. And this thing, when it looked at me, it was like that it could look through me and look to my very soul. And like I said, I just felt like I had been touched by evil. I don't know how else to explain it. And there was such a fear. And I wanted to scream or to holler out or do something. But it just seemed like my mouth just dried up like cotton, and there wasn't a sound that would come out. And I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to get away from this thing. But I couldn't because I was afraid I was going to wreck. And then it came closer, and it leaned down. It leaned in, and mind you, this thing is running beside my car the whole time. And it stuck its head in my window, and it grabbed hold of my door with its right hand. And that, I don't know how to describe it as other than that. It was a hand. This thing had huge hands. And it had long black nails, maybe about 3 inches long, 2 or 3 inches long, long black thick nails. And this thing put its right hand on my door, and I could hear it. It put its left hand on my doorknob, and it was jerking at my door, and it was jiggling my door handle. but this thing was leaning in my window, and it was looking right at me. And it seemed like that it curled its lips back. And I know it snarled at me, but I don't really remember hearing it. All I could hear was the sound of my engine and the sound of its toenails as it ran along beside my vehicle, going clack, 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 clack on the pavement. And it breathed on me. Seemed like I could smell blood and maybe decaying flesh as it breathed on me. It was horrible. And, I thought I was dead. I thought this was the end of me. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was a dead man for sure. And just about that time, the curve ended, and I came into a straightaway. And I just hit the gas and pushed it to the floor. And I took out of there. I took my eyes off of it, and I looked ahead. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw it lose a grip on my car door, and I saw its smells rake across the top of my door. And its head disappeared from my window. And as I drove away from it, as I pulled away from it, I looked in my rearview mirror, and I could see it getting smaller and smaller as it began to slow down. And the last thing I remember, the last thing that I saw, this thing veered off to the right again and jumped over the fence and disappeared into that field. I've never been so scared in all of my life. I mean, it was just absolutely horrifying.
That guy, I guarantee you he's telling the truth, man. You can hear it in his voice. When he said he didn't mean to, and he looked in the eyes of this creature. I mean, could you imagine how that affected you the rest of your life, dude? Like, I just can't even imagine. My encounters were nothing like that, and I just cannot. I just can't. Dude, you turned your lights off, didn't you? You did. Oh, that's awesome. I don't know, man.
I did, mate.
Yeah, you did. I couldn't do it. Nope. Lights on, man. Lights on. It's a wild world, and it makes you wonder what's going on. I know for me, like, I always ask my guests when they come on the show how it affected them. And I know for me, anytime I'm in the woods now, man, my head is on a swivel for sure. Because once you know these things are there and they're real, that's their territory, man. That's where they're at. And so, you need to be careful. But yeah, dude's definitely traumatized. I'm sure that really, really messed with him for the rest of his life. He's never going to be the same after something like that. How could you be,
No. Nope. So, not at all.
Yeah. Pretty wild, man. Pretty wild. So,
just
you guys' opinion on that? Do what, bud?
Just imagine, like I said, when I was coming home up through the UP, and we just got on the on the west side of Escanaba. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and there was a fog across the road, and that big giant wolf just nonchalantly walked across the road that I was on. Man, imagine if that was like I said, that wolf was so big that if he walked up to the front of my truck and he put his head right up to my truck, he could rest his chin.
That's wild, man.
On my truck. That's how big that wolf was. But man, eventually that thing got up. If he got up and just like put both his paws, and they were actually hands on the hood of my car. Oh man.
No, thank you. I am out. Frida, I'm gonna put her comment up here. She brought up a good point. Now she's talking about my great grandfather, her grandpa, great man of God. He was a preacher, good guy, but he says, yeah, that is demonic. Grandpa always said the eyes are the eye gates to our soul. They have an evil soul. And that is a good point. You hear people talking about Bigfoot encounters and then Dogman encounters. You look at Bigfoot, and sometimes people say you can see something there, but Dogman, it's just pure evil. There's nothing there. It's just evil. And it makes me wonder what they why they're different. But hey, Superfly, please email the show. You can email me at mysteriesunknownpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to talk to you. So make sure to get a hold of me. Let's see here. Here's another comment. Tracy says, I have a friend who took a picture of a sister, and she was standing in the creek in Missouri. There was a black dog with German Shepherd-like ears watching her, hiding behind a bush. Can see it plain as day. That's creepy, man.
Send that picture into the show, please.
Yeah, that's creepy. Yeah, if you guys ever have a picture of something you want to put on the show, you definitely can send it to us. We'll throw it on there, and love to hear about this stuff. Hey, Steve, if you guys have not heard his encounter, I put his comment up here. You guys need to go watch his encounter. It was in North Carolina. Very, very scary encounter he had with Dogman. So if he knows anything about Dogman, this guy knows. So for him to say that you can hear the fear of that guy's voice, I mean, it's just a different type of fear. So, and once they mess with you, Renee says it never ends. Now, this brings up a good point. I had another Dogman encounter come on the show. I've talked about it before, but he is currently deployed somewhere in the military. So it took time out of his schedule to come on, but he had a Dogman encounter on, and I'm going to butcher this word. So the Natchez Trace. I think I'm saying that right. I think.
Is that up in the LBL?
No, that is, this one was in Mississippi.
The Natchez Trace
in Mississippi. So he was going to drill and said he had kind of the similar thing. You know, he saw this thought it was a cow, drove around the corner, and this cow just kept going. And he said it had a dog-like face and features, and then it stood up, and he just basically drove off. So the crazy thing is he was texting his dad when he was driving off. His dad's like, "You need to get out of there." And he said that he came home from drill, and he was, I guess they lived in a rural property. And he said that he was laying in bed in his bedroom, and he could hear something outside of his window out in the field, like bipedal. Then something walked up next to his room and started breathing really heavily. And he knew it was not good. And so he said he just pushed it out of his mind and went to sleep. I couldn't have done that. But he said that his grandpa was living with him at the time, and they had this big window. He says grandpa got up the next morning, and his grandpa couldn't sleep. And so he asked, they were talking, and long story short, he says grandpa he saw this black creature outside of his house, just outside the tree line there, walking around the property. But the weird thing is, he said when he went to work, his dad called him, and he asked him, he said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." He said, "Anything weird happened last night?" And he said he told him what his grandpa said and what had happened to him. He said his dad told him the weird thing is it like 11:30, whatever time that this stuff happened. He said he got woke up and felt like he needed to pray, and that his son wasn't safe, basically. And so, he prayed, and this thing left and never came back. So I always say stay prayed up in of every show, because it's so important. But anyways, it was crazy. Hey, Christopher, his story is on I was on the show. So if you go back, I think it was last week, I posted that. He goes through all of it. So pretty crazy stuff, man. Pretty crazy. Now, Daniel, I know what you think about Bigfoot. What do you think about Dogman? Flesh and blood, or more than that?
I don't know. I just kind of want to cuddle up with one and scratch him behind his ears.
I do not believe you.
Bro, again, see, I call it a different thing because I believe it is what my dad says it was. It's a werewolf.
Yeah.
That's what I believe it is. It's a werewolf.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that, man. There's so much, like, I don't know. People are like, well, how can any of this stuff be real? Guys, if you knew, I can just tell you from flesh and blood stuff, from being a cop, if you knew what was driving down the road next to you every single day, what was out there, you'd probably never leave your house.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and so I've seen some crazy things. There's so much that cannot be explained. There is way more than we'll ever see. You talk about people that have near-death experiences, right? I've heard several people say that world is way more real than this world. And so I just, either way, whatever they are, man, you need to have your head on a swivel and stay prayed up, because it's a wild, wild world. But let's see here. Let me see if I can pull up some stories from Oklahoma to read, since we're in that area. So let's see if we got any.
Amity, yes. Here's the thing. Okay, my wife, and you guys can clown me if you want to. I don't care. I do, but I don't, but I kind of do. Okay, so my wife she's upstairs right now, and she's in season 2 of a thing called Vampire Diaries.
Nice.
I'm telling you right now, sat on my phone, was not interested, and somehow I got hoodwinked into watching it, and I watched like 3 episodes, and now I'm hooked. I got to start over from like season 1, episode 1. But I find werewolves very fascinating. Like, was it is it Underworld? Is that the name of the movie where you have werewolves going against? We call them lichens versus vampires. They call them lichens.
Well, that was back in the 2000s, right? I
Yeah.
think when those were out. Yeah.
And then of course you have the Twilight. Where they're not really considered werewolves, or they call them something else. But that's actually filmed north of Aberdeen, up in Forks, Washington. So
yeah, pretty area, man. It's just a wild world. I don't know, man. What do you do with this stuff? But here's a story that I found in Tulsa County, Oklahoma. So it says, I heard my dog barking and growling around 3 a.m. one night. I got up and went to our back door to see what she was barking at. When I did, I saw her running up and down the back fence line, barking, growling, and urinating all along the fence with her tail tucked in. My first thought was predator. I knew something was wrong. I focused my eyes to see if I could see what she was barking at. I saw something bent over in a circle that was black and looked like it had a mane like a lion. I looked at it for about 15 seconds and decided to run to the bedroom and get my head wrapped light. I think I read this last time.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I did. But I put it on my head and ran to the back den and saw that it was still there. I carefully turned on the light and shined it right on it. When I did, it turned around and looked in my direction. Then it ran down the fence line with a smaller one in front of it. The best way I can describe it would be to say this thing was the size of a lion. It had yellow eyes, pointed ears, huge shoulders, and a huge chest. It ran on all fours. Also, this thing was so fast, it only took about 2 seconds to run down the fence line. This wolf was way faster than my dog. I woke my wife up and told her what had just happened. I then went to the computer and Googled huge wolves in America. Under images, I found a cartoon of a drawing someone had did, and its head and mane looked just like what I saw. It was called a Dogman. Today is April 25th, 2020 or 2016. So these things are everywhere, man. Like they are absolutely everywhere. I mean, they're all over the country. And it makes you wonder,
Well, have you seen, or if anybody out there for that fact, hey, what's up, Don C? Welcome. Have you guys seen the video? It's a guy and he's out with his dog or his dogs, and one of the dogs is like running out into the woods. Now the trees are sparsely, apart, so you could clearly see what's in the woods, right?
Yeah.
And this massive wolf, the biggest wolf I've ever seen, bigger than the one I saw up in Michigan. Like, at first I didn't know what it was, but then it got up and it ran after. Some people are saying that that was a dire wolf.
Now, what's that? I've never heard of that.
Well, and again, some people say that dire wolves are like an ancient breed of wolf. Like, they're supposed to be super huge wolves, and some people believe they still exist today. Now, where I first heard about dire wolves is when I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Gotcha.
And orcs and wargs and things like that would ride dire wolves into battle. But
I gotcha.
This thing was huge, and if I come across it, I'll come across a video and I'll send it to you so you can take a look at it. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
There's some wild stuff out there. I know that when I was a kid, me and my dad were hunting, and we had this property we'd hunt on, multiple times a year out in the Ozarks, guys. And I mean, way out, way out, really rural, nothing around. And I can remember I think we were squirrel hunting, and we were walking, and all I remember is the woods got really quiet, like just dead silent. And I was just a kid. My dad's like, stop. So we stopped. And then this huge silver wolf comes up on the ridge, and it stands there. And I mean, it was, to me as a kid, it was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. And it looked at me and it looked at my dad, and it wasn't in any hurry. And it just slowly took its time and just wandered off, But there's so much out there. Sounds like you were in Ozone. Yep, exactly where I was at, Bo. That's exactly where I was at. Spent a lot of time in the woods there as a kid, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful area. But, you know, I mean, we heard wolves out there all the time, like howling, things like that when I was a kid. But, yeah, pretty crazy stuff. So, let's see. But guys, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. If this is your first time, please let us know. Also, too, we sent out the welcome member packets. So let me know if you guys have received them. If you haven't received them by the end of next week, please send me an email and let me know. But we sent them out. And if you joined and did not send me your address, please send it to me. But I think we got everybody, but it's so hard to keep up. So make sure that you send me an email. So Sharp County, Arkansas. Yeah. I'd say something else that's here, man, is mountain lions. I've seen them. We have them here. Black cats. I've seen black cats. I've seen mountain lions. All that here in Arkansas, man. They say they're not here, but they are. Janet says the coffee was delicious. That is awesome.
How's that deal, by the way?
It's good. For you guys who don't know, we dropped a Mr. Unknown coffee line, so it's live now. If you want to order a bag, it's really good stuff. Let me get the link and I'll drop it in the comments. So while we're doing this here, let's see here.
So I've seen cougar when I lived up in Washington State, but I've never seen any black cats or cougars or anything like that in Tennessee or in that. I'm not denying that they're there, because I'll tell you right now, look, Renee, cougar meat is tasty. That's one thing I have not eaten. I have not eaten.
I've never had cougar meat. I'm good, guys.
So Christopher is just told, he goes, I got chased by 2 wolves when I was probably 13 or 14 in Illinois by the wood. So this is crazy. So my uncle, when he lived up in Alaska, he was out hunting. And the way I was brought up hunting, you know, yeah, I was in a deer stand a couple of times, but a majority of times when I would help my dad is we'd actually go out and we would track the deer, the elk or whatever. And a lot of times we weren't hunting, but he would take me out to show me, hey, this is this type of track. This is the way they're going. You want to look for this type of stuff. So you could track them. Well, my uncle, when he was probably about 17, was tracking a deer. And he was tracking this deer, and he gets to a part where he's like, okay, you know, this is probably the best shot I'm going to go, and I'm going to get on this deer. He whistles, and the deer stops and turns, and it gives him almost a perfect broadside shot. He takes the shot, and no sooner did the shot echo, he saw a wolf head pop up out of the bushes or out of the tall grass, followed by another one and another one. There was a total of 6 wolves, and what these wolves are doing, they were stalking that deer as well. And what happened is when that shot, he didn't realize he was in like a box canyon, so it was like an echo. It came off of the wall and back towards the wolves, and so the wolves thought they were being shot at. So they come hauling butt after my uncle, and he said he threw everything in the air and ran to the closest tree and climbed up the tree and watched these wolves running like a bat out of hell, because they were scared because they were getting shot. They thought they were getting shot at. He goes, he didn't even worry about the deer. He just grabbed his gun and left.
I would too, man. I'd be gone. I would be absolutely gone. I will tell you, man, one of the scariest things that ever happened to me out in the woods, and it was the same trip when I was out with my dad hunting. We were, you know, I was just a kid. I think I was 10 years old, maybe 11. And we had pitched the tent on the property, and Dad had made some eggs and bacon and whatnot. And, you know, as a kid, you don't think about it, but I poured the grease and the food out right in front of the tent, and we packed up for the night. And I guess it was about an hour later, you know, we keep hearing something outside of the tent. Long story short, there's a bear that was circling our tent, and that thing would brush up right against the tent. My dad, you know, would get up, we would talk, it would walk off, but then it would come back. And so eventually it wouldn't leave. So we packed up and left, man. But 10 or 11-year-old kid, man, it scared me to death. So, Yeah, that's pretty scary stuff. But There's a lot of stuff out there in the woods, man, that you don't know. But I tell you, man, we talk about, running into Bigfoot and stuff, but running into people out in the woods, man, that's a pretty scary proposition right there, man. Because you just don't know what's out there.
Oh, for sure.
So
I was listening to well, no, didn't Mr. Denton, didn't he talk about how one of his friends called him and said, you need to get out of there?
he did.
There is
So yeah, so I was for you guys who have not seen this week's episode, I dropped it yesterday. It was with Daryl Denton, and Daniel set that up. How in the world he got a hold of him and how in the world he set that up, I don't know. But man, I'm so appreciative of that. So if you've enjoyed that episode, give Daniel props because he set that up. But he was talking about where him and Martin Groves were out in the LBL, and he said they were surrounded by dogmen, and he's like, it was one of the scariest experiences. And he's like, because I'd asked him, like, what do you think? What's kept you safe? And that something like that. And he basically, long story short, said that they were out, and Martin went out into the middle of the woods and surrounded by these creatures, and he started to pray and call in the name of Jesus and pray, and these things left. And he said, but before that, he had a friend of his call him to tell him they needed to pack up and get out of there, that things were not okay. And so, yeah, I think that's, the power of prayer, man. Like it works.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is the thing about that part when he said, number one, there was no service. There was zero service.
It's wild, man.
And all of a sudden, his phone started ringing.
Yeah.
And Martin, Mr. Groves looks at Mr. Denton and goes, is that your phone? And he's like, yeah. And it's a friend who had no clue where they were at. And he answered the phone. He's like, hey, how's it going? She's like, I know where you are. Get out of there right now. There are multiple dogmen coming your way, and they have a feral human with them.
That was wild, man.
I'm going to tell you, here's the thing, and you guys give me your overall consensus in this, and you as being a former chief of police and a police officer, let me say, I'm out and about, okay? I'm out hiking. I got my sidearm on me. I'm out there hiking, and I decided to do some fishing, so I'm out there fishing, and I turn around, and there's a feral human standing behind me, and it looks like it's about to attack me. And all of a sudden, it raises its hands up, and it comes at me with like a club. Can I shoot and kill that damn thing? Or would it be murder?
Well, I would say that, a lot of it depends on what state you're at too. I mean, every state has different laws, but
Arkansas. I
mean, I would say, you know what, man, we had this saying that we always would say, it's better to be tried by see, how did it go? It's better to be tried by 12
and carried by 6.
That's the mentality that I always had. And so I would say, man, you're self-defense at that point. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, somebody's attacking you, they've got a weapon as bad as a deadly weapon, I'd say blow them away. Now I'm not telling you guys to go out and shoot people. I'm just saying, like, yeah, that's what I would do. 100%.
I mean, that even makes me not even want to go out in the woods even more, because now knowing there are people out there that, one, they're feral, and all they want to, dude, they eat humans. They do.
Yeah.
Hey, missing 411, feral humans, you never know.
I think that, self-preservation, I'm all for self-preservation, man. And if somebody's going to come out of their way to try to harm you or your family or your loved ones, you got to do what you got to do, man. And that's one thing I love about the South, living in the South, man, is it's very, they're pro self-preservation is one way to put it. But I don't know, man, that part of the story, when he told me that, he threw so much at me in that interview. I missed a lot. I know I did, but I just couldn't, like, there's so much information. I just tried to let him tell his story, because every time he talked, man, it was just another nugget, another, piece of information he was dropping. And man, that was a good one. That was a really good one.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've had conversations with him since then, and he's a really, really nice guy. Hey, pork and beans. Hey, pork and beans.
Yeah, I love that name. That's so awesome.
He's a genuine guy, and him and I are working on something, and hopefully it'll come to fruition. And if it does, hopefully I'll be able to present something to you in a nice shiny wrapping paper with a big red bow on it.
Dude, I'm just, it's just awesome to get to be part of this community and talk to people. And I don't know, man, I'm grateful for the friendship that me and Daniel's been able to develop because of this. And you never know who you're going to meet in this world. And it's been really awesome. And I think we've built a really cool community. And guys, we love doing these lives because we like to talk to y'all and we get on here and share these encounters and these stories, and glad you guys are here for it, because we couldn't do it without you. So Daniel, I mean, he won't tell me what he's got in the works. So I'm just going to sit back and wait and see what it is. And I'm sure it's going to be awesome, whatever it is. So that's an awesome comment. I've definitely found my tribe. Let's see, where did it go? Lost it. There we go. I definitely found my tribe and the people of this community. It's good people, really good people in here. Really good people. So yeah, we have fun with these lives, man. It's a lot of work. But we enjoy it. And sometimes we don't know when we're going to do these, and we're both pretty busy. So we just try to do it as often as we can. If you guys want to help, the biggest thing you can do is share the channel, like, comment, all those things that the algorithm likes, get the word out, tell people, because we're just two real dudes that don't always agree on everything, but we want to have a safe place for people to come and share these encounters. And that's what we're trying to do. So,
and again, guys, we don't try to come on here and try and change your views, your minds on, because you're going to believe what you're going to want to believe. You've had your experiences. And that's your guys' experiences. They're different than mine. They're different than Josh's. And we're not going to come on here and we're not going to chastise anybody for what they say they saw. We're not going to chastise anybody for what they've heard, what they're trying to say. Hey, my brother saw this, or my sister saw that, or whatnot. So we truly, truly, truly appreciate. And some people on here actually. I'm friends with on Facebook now, and they send me messages, and a couple of them know that I have something in the works. And as soon as
man.
No, not for you. What I have in the works.
Oh, that, yeah. Now listen, guys, I'll say this right now. Daniel has something pretty awesome in the works, and so once we get that going for him, it's going to be good. So, yeah, we'll make sure that you guys know all about it once it's a go. So, yeah. Really awesome. Superfly says, can you guys check your email, see if you received pictures?
Well, I don't have access to it. I just promote it. So
let me see. Hang on.
I just have to wait for Josh to forward them onto me. And then when I get them, I'm like, ooh, look at this.
It's been pretty awesome. I'll send those to you, Daniel. And yes, I did get those. So I'll reach out. And we'll set up a time to talk. So it's pretty neat, man. We've seen some stuff, and some of the stuff that me and Daniel get to see, like, never make it to the show. And we've seen some pretty amazing things. But if you guys have an encounter that you would like to talk about, and maybe you don't want to come on the show, but you want me or Daniel to read it, please send it to me, and we'll read it on one of our lives. So, let's see.
Also, I just want to say one thing. You guys, I've read and I've had people come out and tell Josh and tell me, and I've heard it on other podcasts. When someone finally, I guess, has that release to where they tell their encounter, it's like a therapy. And we do not want to try to pressure anybody at all to come on.
Mm-mm.
I am your guys' gatekeeper. If there's something that you send me, or you send Josh and Josh forwards it on to me, I will keep it to as close to my heart as I possibly can. Yep. It took me 33 years to tell my encounter of my first sighting. It took me 33 years because, one, there was no outlet for me to talk about it. Two, there was nobody around me that would believe anything I said. I was some stupid kid, some dumb little kid looking for some type of attention. And that was the farthest from the truth.
Right.
And then the hardest encounter for me to talk about was the last one that I was on with Josh. And that one took me 30 plus years to tell as well.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I ever told that story to anybody. So if you guys want to see that story, it's on here. I'm not trying to promote my stuff, but I'm just saying that I understand the block that some people run into. I understand that brick wall that some people run into when they want, with everything in them, they want to tell their story. They want to tell somebody, and they're afraid to, and that's okay. We understand it. We expect it, but know that when you do tell us, if you send it to us in email and say, I just want to tell you guys, you can read it if you want, but I do not want to come on, or I just want to tell you guys, and I don't want it out there. I just need to get this off my chest. Know that we're your stewards. We will 100% guard your story, your encounter, and until the end of time.
100%.
So I just want to put that out there.
No, he's right. Like if you send us something in confidence, it will definitely stay in confidence. I mean, that's just how we are. I think a lot of that has to do with former law enforcement and just, good people. Like we know that this stuff is very personal and traumatizing. And sometimes it's like, hey, you just want to get stuff off your chest. And sometimes that's all you want. But, Daniel, I'm glad you came forward. We don't talk about that last encounter very often, but man, I'm glad you shared it. And guys, you do need to go check it out. Very emotional, very, very, very good encounter, and give you a little bit more insight to his personality. So you need to go watch it. It's a good one. But man, I'm about out of steam. What about you?
Bro, I'm not out of steam. I'm a Capricorn, man. Please.
Man, I love doing this, but my coffee's almost ran dry. My voice is getting sore. So I got an early day tomorrow, man.
Well, so do I. I feel you, man, 100%. But I have a plan, man. You guys, when I retire from my current, I call it my bill paying job. When I retire from my bill paying job, I'm gonna get a little part-time job, probably working at like a gas station or something like that, like a Quick Trip or something, or maybe Home Depot or something. And then I'm going to do everything I can to keep this train rolling, and keep it going. And yeah, dude, I'm your ride or die, brother.
Man.
I'm your shotgun rider. You look over to your right hand side, and I'll be there, man, ready to go.
I believe it, man. I'm glad that we linked up, and these lives are pretty special, and we just have fun and developed an amazing brotherhood and tribe. You guys are, along for the ride with me and Daniel, and we're glad that you guys are here. And man, I feel you, man. We'll be 80 years old talking about this stuff probably.
Heck yeah. Hey, is it right if you give my email address out there, and if anybody wants to email me as well? And again,
give it out. It
doesn't necessarily have to be, a story. If it's just something you guys want to get off your chest, again, I'll be your guys' steward. Trust me, therapy works.
It does.
And I won't charge you a penny. So I'll go ahead and put in my email address. And if you guys have any encounters, any stories, anything you want to share, by all means, please feel free to do so. And, your secrets are safe with me. Again, I truly appreciate everyone in this channel.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. So, I'm grateful for everybody, and thanks for hanging out with us tonight. And, we don't know when we're going to do the next one. It'll be probably one day next week. So, if we could do them every night, we probably would, but,
yes,
we're both married, and that's not good for a marriage. So probably not going to happen.
Oh, I don't know what's going on.
Why don't you just tell them out loud? Because I don't know if it.
I think I'll be able to put it up there. Okay. It's just I didn't have my cursor where it needed to be, but it's here we go. Oh, I see what it did. Okay, so I'll go ahead and give it to you. So if you got yourself one of them there magical ink sticks. Oh, here we go. I'm back. There it is. So if you guys just got anything you want to share, tell me. If you don't remember what Josh's is, there's mine, and I'll make sure Josh gets it as well. And yeah, welcome again to everybody who joined the live tonight. Thank you for the super chat, AAO. Appreciate that. Also, yeah. I think Janet left a super chat as well. I appreciate that. Anybody that
left one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to friend me on Facebook, you see that picture of me right there, that handsome fellow in that uniform wearing that awesome beret standing in front of a Porsche 944 Turbo. That's me. That's my profile picture on. No, it's not. Our logo, the Sasquatch, is my logo now on Facebook. So
Facebook,
you can friend me on Facebook, Daniel Hamilton. Yeah, and I'll add you, and then we'll chat. And I'll let you guys know on Messenger when we're getting ready to go live, so you can jump on.
Awesome, guys! Great show. Thanks for being here. Me and Daniel truly appreciate everybody, and just we're grateful that you guys hang out with us. So I'm out, man. You got anything else?
I don't, man. Again, I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And hey, You guys, seriously, shoot me and Josh episodes or emails and let us know something you guys would like us to cover. A story, a cryptid, something like just let us know. We'll try to get there. I am working on one for stuff from across the pond. So around the UK, Luxembourg, that part of Belgium and stuff like that. So
yeah, got it in works.
I am working on that.
Yep. So if there's something you want to talk about on live or something, please let us know. So, I'm going to say it. It's so important. I will always say it. Stay prayed up, guys. Never forget that. Stay prayed up. Be careful. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.